G'day. Welcome to everybody. I've been reading everybody's comments and enjoying them all. For the people that sort of sympathise with my experience, thanks a lot. And for the people who've paid out on me a bit, well, fair call, I suppose, in most cases. This video, I think it will be important to all diesel tank owners. Probably won't be very interesting to people who just want to follow my story to the final conclusion. So it gets a bit technical and probably a bit boring, so I wouldn't stick around if you're not into that stuff. But for tank diesel owners, I think you should actually listen to this. So I'm going to read it and let's go. There seems to be a number of comments that are suggesting that the clanking noise in my video is coming from the car's EGR valve. That could be possible, but GWM say the noise is coming from the engine back pressure valve. I put a picture of it up in my first video, which I'll put up again now. From this picture, the back pressure valve appears to be situated downstream of the muffler assembly. The GWM roadside assistance guy who first came out to look at the car and got under it isolated the noise more or less to this same position as well, so I'm pretty positive this is the source of the noise. Although I initially thought the shutdown noise was coming more from the front middle of the car. I'm no mechanic, but about 40 years ago I got an honours degree in physics, and I've just done a quick 10-minute deep dive into EGRs and their function. The EGR is a valve that modulates the amount of exhaust gases that are recirculated back to the engine through the intake manifold, and it generally sits in between the intake and exhaust manifolds of the engine, somewhere in the engine bay. Here is a basic drawing I made of the circuit. The purpose of returning the exhaust gases back into the engine is to lower the amount of oxygen in combustion, because the amount of oxygen is proportional to the engine combustion temperature, and if the combustion temperature is lower, the amount of harmful nitrogen oxide molecules created in the combustion process are also lower. These nitrogen oxide molecules form in the combustion process when pure oxygen and nitrogen from the air intake combine under high temperatures of combustion. The air we breathe and the air our engines breathe as well contain about 21% oxygen and about 78% nitrogen, and this is what combines to form the nitrogen oxide molecules that can cause lung disease, exacerbate asthma, and are markers for traffic-based air pollution, which is known to cause cancer. Not to mention they contribute to acid rain. Over time, the EGR valve can get clogged up and it needs to be removed from the car for cleaning. It doesn't clean itself, for anyone who may not know. To reduce power loss in diesel engines, the EGR valve only operates at idle and closes as the load on the engine increases. So it is possible that the EGR opening and shutting could explain the noises I heard at idle that night, but it's not that likely in my opinion. You'll remember, if you watched my first video, that I heard an intermittent metallic clanking sound at idle, along with that atrocious metallic clanking on engine shutdown. And according to GWM, these noises are coming from underneath the car and are caused by the engine back pressure valve. People have also mentioned that what occurred in my driveway was DPF burn-off. For anyone that doesn't know, a DPF is a diesel particulate filter which sits downstream of the engine exhaust manifold. From what I understand, DPFs can either be passive, making use of a catalyst, or active through use of a fuel burner, which operates at high engine temperatures and at highway speeds, not normally at idle in a driveway. I've read the Tank 300 user manual now, and it says under the DPF section and under the heading Automatic Regeneration Procedure that, and I quote, when warming up the engine and stopping the vehicle to allow the engine to idle, the speed remains at 1000 RPM, indicating that the vehicle is in the particulate filter self-cleaning mode. To facilitate the self-cleaning, it is recommended to operate as follows until the engine idling speed returns to normal. Try to drive at a constant speed on roads in good condition. Try to prevent the engine from running at idle speeds. Try to avoid stopping or engine shutdowns. If I read this correctly, this is the most stupid DPF cleaning operation that anyone could devise. Maybe these instructions are lost in translation somehow. Let's hope so. It seems to suggest that the self-cleaning mode initiates at idle speeds of 1000 RPM, and that instead of stopping the car or shutting down the engine, you need to keep driving it at a constant speed on roads in good condition until the idle speed returns to normal, which they don't actually specify what normal is in this advice. Do they really expect drivers to get home, and if they have an automatic DPF regeneration cleaning event happening, to not stop their car, but reverse out of their driveways and go driving around until the event finishes and their car's idle returns to normal? Please, someone tell me this is not what the user manual is actually telling me, because if it is the most stupid thing I've ever encountered on any car in my whole life. Also, my car only had 132 kilometres on the clock, so I don't understand why the car would have thought it necessary to initiate a DPF regeneration. Generally, that would only occur with a high enough soot load and corresponding increased back pressure on the engine. Surely a normal DPF burn that initiates at highway speed or a manually operated regeneration would be more sensible with the driver in control. Initiation of automatic DPF regeneration could explain the loud clanking noises I experienced that night at idle and during engine shutdown as the exhaust back pressure valve engaged and its operation got exacerbated by one of these cleaning procedures under non-ideal engine speed conditions. Or it could be that the back pressure valve on the car is just excessively noisy. Either way, I'm not happy.
Not happy, Jan!
If I'm right, all you diesel tankers out there better follow this owner manual advice, or maybe when your DPF cacks itself, you might be met with a user error defense by GWM. You didn't keep driving your car during DPF self-cleaning mode until your idle normalised, did you? I couldn't find a reference to the normal idle speed in the car's user manual, so I went to the car, ran it for 10 minutes, and it was idling at 700 RPM, which seems about normal for diesels. Here's a short video of the car idling. A mate of mine just told me a story about another poor guy in another make of car whose car went into limp mode with a DPF issue. He was out in the sticks towing a caravan. The roadside assist towed his car but wouldn't do anything with his van. Why doesn't that surprise me? Consumers are just numbers to these companies and corporations. I'm going to exchange the back pressure valve on the car so I can sell the car in good conscience to the new owner. If it turns out they are all this loud, or what I experienced was the result of one of these kooky self-cleaning events, well, I've done my best, and that's all we can do in life.
Just standing up for my rights as a consumer.